September the 5th, and I know I said we were done, but this is Ghost Hunter advice.
Advice from the pros. Stories from the haunted. You're listening to the Ghost Hunter Advice Podcast.
All right, so we are live on the Ghost Hunter Advice Facebook page and YouTube channel. We're also out on Parapost Network. I'm joined today by the paranormal consultant, Matt Barron. How's it going, man?
What's up, brother? What's up, everybody?
All right, so the last episode I did on the main podcast feed was about doing time audits and figuring out like what you actually have time for. At the time, I had committed to being on a paranormal investigation team that's about 10 to 15 hours a week. And doing this show the way that I was doing it, it was taking away from my writing, which has been my main goal to get those books out and get all that stuff done. So I was able to move some stuff around, take some other things off my plate, simplify my day job and my work. So I am able to step back into this, which is fantastic because I missed it. Kind of got the itch again when I got on doing a show with you, Matt.
Yeah, it's a little contagious.
It does, yeah. So, still not planning on doing a whole lot of this live stuff, but I did wanna do this here tonight. I wanted to kinda jump on with Matt and talk about something special. Originally, I was just gonna come back and do 2 episodes on the main podcast feed. There were some topics that came up, and I was like, "Oh, crap, I haven't covered that." And there were some really cool questions, and I was like, "Yeah, I just haven't talked about that yet." So, I do have stuff to talk about. But,
Usually helpful.
yeah, when you're doing a podcast, mainly audio show, it is super helpful to actually have something to talk about when you get up.
Well, unless it's the 10 millimeter, the missing 10 millimeter that we do, that's something different, extremely different.
But man, I was looking at some things that have changed. And as far as like what's been going on the past like 10 years in ghost hunting and paranormal investigations, and in entertainment, because that's kind of what drives this. And I think that's what really fed the last boom that we had, where everybody was going out and ghost hunting, and it became kind of mainstream. There are even businesses. I had Amy from Chattanooga Ghost Tours, where they do ghost walks, they do paranormal investigations and things for that are paid. But there's a whole industry that's wrapped up around it. But it started to kind of consolidate, I guess is the right word for that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the shifting focus, things that are happening in media, things that are happening kind of with people's belief systems, and what's going on. But first off, what are you up to these days?
Not a whole lot, I hate to admit. Just doing a little bit of a change in my life, which we spoke about, which you're very much aware about. Hopefully game changing for the family. Other than that, just getting amped up and ready for the Global Ghost Hunt. We've got a lot of new teams coming on. We got some amazing groups, locations, getting basically all the media ready for that, all the promo videos, thumbnails. Brian just sent out a whole bunch of thumbnails today, which he did a great job with that. And yeah, other than that, just business as usual, just trying to keep them on moving. Mama. Hi, Mom.
Thanks for stopping by. Oh man. So it is weird to be live and having to like click through the comments and stuff again. I got used to just being in the studio. So this is where we do everything. I have a sound booth over there for voice acting. And that L-shaped couch that you can kind of barely see behind me has 2 mics that fold up from the side, and that's where we do Truly Odd. So we're in studio with the equipment actually over there, out of camera view. But it's fun to be back in front of camera and back up here on Facebook. So Yeah, you guys probably noticed though, I think this started about a year ago where the television channels, Travel Channel, basically Discovery Plus and everything that's in that little
Hmm.
streaming package, we started seeing less and less new episodes of ghost hunting shows and paranormal related content, and we started seeing a little bit more, house fixer upper and travel stuff on Travel Channel.
Yeah, I've noticed it does that every once in a while. Like you'll just see, especially on those types of channels, like the educational ones, there'll be like a surge of one topic, and then all of a sudden it'll switch. And I don't know if that's a network thing that to try to keep people interested and involved, or what their marketing director is up to, but it's a little bit of a variety. I can't bash them for it.
I don't know, I think it has to do with,
Yeah.
zeitgeist. What are people thinking about? What are people into? Aliens is still big. I mean, that's getting bigger with talks of disclosure, and I think we're past the talks of disclosure, and everybody's pretty disappointed with what
No, well,
happened there.
it's the
Yeah.
government. What do you?
Um, I mean, we saw it coming. It's still you get your hopes up a little bit, but we
Well,
all
what
saw it
I
coming.
find hilarious, especially with like the what were they called? Non-human biologics. I know I was on that for a while. Um, I remember clearly seeing. I think it was CNN or Fox News, one of the news channels. Like they blatantly said, "We know there's life. We know we're not alone in this." And social media just went cool and moved on. It was like,
Yeah.
we've been waiting literally hundreds of years. The thinking, are we alone in this universe? And like that was the big question. And finally the US government came out and said, no, we are not alone. This actually happened. This is footage. This is, the Air Force pilots, Navy pilots, these people said this and that. And everybody just went, okay. It's like, oh,
We're gonna rebrand UFOs as UAPs, take them a little seriously, like for a little bit,
I
just for a
still
little
love the
bit.
non-human biologics. That is just still my favorite.
Hey, Wendy girl,
Love the name.
awesome. But yeah, it
Hmm.
got weird. Like everybody's like, okay, yeah, aliens, but I mean, scientists have said statistically, there's probably other life out there. It's something that's just kind of been in the back of their mind. But seeing a little bit of at least serious investigation from the government going into that
Hmm.
was interesting, and I think that had a little bit to do with people kind of switching away from hauntings. If you notice, as that was on the rise, we got less and less. Um, Ghost hunting type shows. We got fewer, even the documentary style shows where we had actors, doing reenactments and people telling their stories. It just got less and less, and part of that I think is because they ramped it up hard. Like it started getting super extreme where everything was a demon, and they're like, we can't really push it any further. There's kind of less of a return on the investment for this. Every time you watch it, you kind of know what's going
Yeah.
to happen. They're going to go look for ghosts. They're not going to find anything. Same thing with the Bigfoot stuff. They're going to go look for
Well, and
Bigfoot.
that's I was
Not
I
going to
was
find
just gonna
Bigfoot.
say the cryptozoology field really took a huge spike whenever they started coming out with these aliens and everything like that. Like once that hit, I mean, even in marketing, like when I was working with a retailer, as soon as all that came down, like everything Bigfoot and aliens, like everyone started printing them on shirts and stuff. Every brand was coming out with some kind of UFO or Bigfoot type apparel. And it's like, okay, where did this come from? Like, I remember, I distinctly remember the one day I was just walking around the store that I worked at, and I looked, and there's like 4 or 5 of those 4x4 racks of clothes, and they were nothing but Bigfoot. And I'm going, okay, it's all Bigfoot and Nessie, and what had just happened? Where did the cryptozoology come in all of a sudden? Like, what?
The cryptid booty trend was a
It
lot
was
of
fun
fun,
though.
where you had, like, moth
Oh,
That's a good segue, though. You notice we're done by Truly Odd Studios, and Truly Odd Teas. So if you're looking for some cool cryptid teas, head over there, trulyoddteas.com. They are a sponsor. All that goes back into the show. Um, Still feel weird doing pitches.
if it makes you feel any better, brother, when I mean, I took a little bit of a sabbatical. When I first started coming back, is especially with the GGH lives,
Mhm.
like most of the time, like the pitches and stuff like that just kind of roll off my tongue. Like I don't script anything, as you know, and it just kind of rolls off. I was terrible. I wish I would have put notes down because I'm just like, who are these people? Crap.
No, that's where me and you are, super different. Like, tonight is not scripted. We've kinda got an outline that we're gonna go through and have a
Mhm.
conversation. But usually when I do ghost hunter advice, it is
Mhm.
totally scripted because we're hitting certain points about the nuts and bolts of ghost hunting. Today we're talking about societal stuff and like ghost hunting in general, but usually like if we're doing a breakdown of a piece of equipment, super important to hit everything in a certain
Mhm.
order and all that. But here, just having a chat. But anyway, getting back into like kind of the shift in programming, we saw a lot of those people. Same thing that happened in writing, where a lot of us horror writers left the big five and we went indie and started putting out our own stuff through like KDP and then eventually having our own
Mhm.
imprints. Um, we're seeing people like Jason Hawes has a YouTube channel where he's in total control of the investigations that he does sit downs like this, talking head style content, and it's pretty cool. We're seeing kind of a new phase of paranormal entertainment where the creators and the investigators are in charge of what's going out.
Well, and
So
I think it needs to happen because I know that was a big issue with the ghost hunting crew, Taps. Once they hit mainstream and they were, had their TV shows and started running into all these seasons, I know that was a big issue between Jason and Grant was that creative freedom. And we've talked about it before. A lot of producers, like, yeah, they're after ratings and stuff, which is it's fine. But you and I have had this discussion too. Where's that line? Like from actual creative freedom and doing legit paranormal investigating to just entertainment. Um, but it is nice to see Jason doing his own thing and being in control. It is a new perspective, and to be honest with you, I'd love to see more of it. Not just him, but the rest of them. Well, maybe one not so much, but you know who that is.
well, yeah, like
Yeah.
Jeff Belanger, he's doing his podcast. He was actually on the paranormal podcast with oh, he's the godfather of paranormal
Hmm.
podcasting. Jim Harold, one of my favorite podcasters. I have just been going drawing blanks today. But, yeah. But it's cool to see that content and people actually sitting down and talking about things because for what, 20 something years now, we've had a couple of
Hmm.
podcasts like this. I don't know of any others that like went into the equipment and actually going out and doing the stuff and answering questions for new ghost hunters. But we haven't had a whole lot of people just sitting down and talking about what actually happens. It's it's been more about like what's going to scare people and what's going to give the best story and have the most
Hmm.
entertainment value versus having the best informational
Yeah,
value.
and I think smaller creators like us, we're the complete opposite. We are doing this already. Like we're trying to give these advices, talk about what happens in the field, give them more what actually happens, and not so much the entertainment side. But we are trying to get the views now. That's kind of a little bit of a role reversal, at least on their end. But they have the following to do stuff like that and make it really successful. So wait and see. I mean,
Mhm.
hopefully it'll trickle down to creators like us.
Well, the interaction's been cool too. I've noticed, people don't just wanna sit and watch, and myself included. I don't wanna sit and just watch a television show or watch one of these documentaries. It's a lot more fun to be
Yeah.
interactive, and when you have something like I mean, I'm gonna say this because what he's put together is so here we go. I'm enjoying Jason more now. Um, I got away from Ghost Hunters for a while, but now I'm liking what I see with
I
Jason now.
yeah.
Yeah, same,
Yeah.
exact same. Yep.
And to be honest with you, and I know I told you this, like I've used the first 4 seasons of Ghost Hunters taps for my training. Like that's how I train my
Mhm.
investigators. But it just again got too gimmicky. And I just kind of tailed away from it. But I agree with you, Windy Girl, too. And you, brother. It's nice to see him back in his roots, and I think it's refreshing.
I think a lot of that's
Yeah,
network stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's nice and refreshing.
and I mean, yeah, it is, absolutely, and I'd like to see more people doing that, especially from the paranormal field who have been, like, paranormal celebrities with their TV shows and have the background like the TAPS
Hmm.
team had. When I got into ghost hunting, I got in back in, 2001, and one of the earliest resources I had was Jason's blog on the
I
TAPS
remember
website.
those. I remember
Yep,
those.
um and then the TV show started. I'm like, "Oh, cool. I actually get to see it while I'm out learning how to do this stuff." And then again, like they have to keep the
Yeah,
ratings. And once it becomes what you do for a living and your bills depend on getting this stuff done and getting these events finished,
yeah.
it's, you know, it is what it is. It's an
It,
industry. but it's changing, and I think a lot of that, getting back to what I was my original point here, I think a lot of that is people want more interaction because with this, it's like, okay, we're talking
Hmm.
heads. The celebrities like that are doing the same thing, and you're getting to ask questions while they're up and while they're talking, while things are rolling. When they're doing the investigations, if they're doing a live, which they have those
Yep.
360 cameras, which are just
Yep.
awesome, you can actually basically be part of the investigation there, which I think is something that Global Ghost Hunt was marching toward and trying to get, where it's not just a team of investigators out at these haunted locations, it's the
Yep.
crowd watching. You can call in, "Hey, I saw a shadow over there, go check it out." And there's a little bit of a lag, but you're like within 30 seconds of the
Well,
activity
and that's
happening.
something that we've been pushing at Global Ghost Hunt, and we've been actually, I believe it's even in our agreement now, is they have to assign a team member to watch the stream and to be in contact with one of us during the lives if they are live, just in case, because we've had a lot of camera issues and we've had some things happen. I know there was one instance where we had a camera go down, and it was cool, really cool. It was just the camera was sitting there nice and perfect, and all of a sudden just kind of, yeah. And this was after like an hour and a half or so of investigating. So something must have pushed it, or something happened, or someone just tripped on a cord, and we couldn't get a hold of the team. We're like, we're down on camera. But no, and I do remember. I don't know if they still do it or not, but I know Taps used to do a Halloween special where they had that live, and you used to be able to call
Yeah.
in. I remember that.
Yeah, the one that I remember is the live at the Stanley. That was a cool
Stanley, I
episode.
think they did one at. I think it was Penhurst. Was it Penhurst or Eastern State? They did one of the two. It was here in PA. I can't remember which one it was though.
Oh, that's cool. But there's things that are changed. Like I said, like people want to be more interactive, and dark tourism is also on a climb. So instead of going and sitting and watching this or watching us or watching somebody else, you can go to these locations, and most of them have somebody there on staff that's running, ghost hunting events. They're showing you how to use the equipment, and you're actually getting to go to some of these places yourself and do it. And it's way more affordable than it was because these have become like big tourist uh,
Yeah.
things. You have haunted B&Bs you can go stay in. You can go down the street, go on a ghost tour, stay a little later and do a ghost hunt in one of the properties where they actually let you do
Mhm.
ghost hunting. So it's gotten pretty cool, and that's a huge draw for certain cities here. Chattanooga Ghost Tours it's a
Yeah.
staple. When you come into Chattanooga, it's like, hey, what do I need to do? Take
Yeah.
take a tour.
Well, I mean, even when I lived in San Diego, one of the biggest areas down there was the Whaley House. Most people in the paranormal field know the Whaley House, and that's what they do. Like they do have the regular tours during the day, but then they have the haunted tours and stuff like that. But I think what it's going to end up coming down to be completely honest, is they're going to start doing virtual tours. They're going to do live walkthroughs,
Yep.
and you'll be able to virtually like do a virtual reality walkthrough. And I can already foresee that coming. If it hasn't already, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there is any as of now, but
We have 'em in real estate. Um, so you can set up and there's a couple ways to do it. We used to sometimes we'd have a drone, like, when we first
mhm,
started doing them, and the drone would basically just fly through the house, and it was video, and it
mm,
was static. Then we were able to just take a ton of photographs and put it into an AI, and the AI actually put together an interactive
ooh,
walkthrough for people where you can open doors and mess with cabinets and do all sorts of things. So it's interesting. I think some people still use the drone fly-throughs because it's a little smoother for the AI, but the stuff that they've come up with is
oh,
pretty cool. And with the AI stuff, like, you can go into those, put a VR headset on, it feels like you're
mhm.
actually there, and the stuff they can have fly at you. You can do, like, a real ghost hunt, or let's be in, like, a horror
See, I
novel.
would both would be amazing. I just think a virtual, like, actual investigation at places like the
Yeah.
Stanley Hotel would be huge selling points. I mean, and especially it would help with places that you can't really get into because of health reasons. Like that's a lot of reasons why I know Eastern State went down because there was a lot of health concerns.
Mhm.
You put a drone or some kind of mechanical equipment in there, that takes the human aspect out of it. So I think that would be really cool to see. But again, that's another reason why Global Ghost Hunt, while we're doing what we're doing, is so people can hopefully live stream and see these locations live, like the Ancient Ram Inn and stuff like that we've had.
Well, like, when you go up north, so New
Hmm.
England states, They're huge on
Mm-hmm.
history. They preserve entire neighborhoods. There are towns there. I was listening to a podcast, actually Jeff
Mm.
Belanger, where he was talking about his town. If you wanna change the color of your house, you have to get it approved by the town council, and they take a vote on it because everything is like 200, 300
Mhm.
years old. Not old if you're over in across the pond in the UK
Not
and
you
Europe,
guys.
pretty old if
Well,
you're
we have
here.
them here in my hometown. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
homes that are like that, and they'll actually say, property of the historical society.
It's a cool way to preserve things too, because a lot of the places that we go, like, Old South
Hmm.
Pittsburgh Hospital, it's standing, it's strong, people own it. Eventually, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be. And having that documented in a way that you can actually walk through and be a part of that history is pretty cool. There's a old Confederate hospital site that I go to a lot to do EVP
Mm.
sessions, and it's no longer standing. It's basically ruins in a I wanna say a graveyard, but a mass grave where they just buried all the soldiers that
Oh,
died there. Yeah, and that's all that's left.
see, that's terrible. That's one reason why to me it's very important to preserve these locations because my daughter knows, like, she's 9. She knows what I do with the paranormal and stuff, and she thinks it's cool. She'll want to do it, and I would really hope that some of these places are around for her to do this.
And my son's gotten into he's 6, and I gave him one of my old,
Hmm.
EMF meters and a couple of old pieces of equipment. He's them in a little
Mm.
backpack. It's his, little Paw Patrol backpack, and he'll walk around, he's got the EMF meter, I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm hunting ghosts." I was like, "Cool." And he stopped one day, and he looked at me, and he goes, "Where do I put it if I catch it?" It's like, "Nobody." It's
That
adorable.
is awesome.
No.
That's not as cute. I mean, my story's not as cute as that. That's awesome. I actually had a guy come up to me in San Diego, and he goes, "You're a ghost hunter, right?" And I had my paranormal shirt on. And I was like, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "What kind of gun do you use?" And I started laughing, and I was like, "Okay." And he's like dead serious face looking at me. I'm like, "Oh, you're serious?"
Absolutely, Brian. For those of you I'm not sure if I'm putting this out on audio or not, but if I do, for those of you listening to the audio, he said, "Oh god, there's trouble."
You know better,
Yeah.
Mister. Oh, well, it's actually, since he's here, he'll hate me for this. And I probably am digging myself a hole in doing this, but I did a kind of a no-no, but I couldn't resist. So I know you've seen, brother. I am starting to do some music videos and some custom AI music. So I was doing some shots of Centralia, and for those of you who don't know what Centralia there's a town here in Pennsylvania that's on fire. Kind of like it's been on fire for years, 60 plus years, and Silent Hill. Think of that. Anyway, while I was out there, I found some stuff. I brought some souvenirs home and I cleaned them. Now they're on my desk. I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
Let me know
You
what
know,
happened.
now that I said something that's going to get thrown at my head, but
Since this is ghost hunter advice, guys, we don't recommend bringing home things from haunted
yeah, it's
locations.
it's usually a no-no.
Yeah.
But my thought was try to clean them up, preserve it a little bit. That was the thought process. But then the other thought was, ooh, shiny, cool. So yeah.
We all do stuff.
And of course, I put it down here in my studio with all my electronics.
So, that's what's wrong with your
Mhm.
camera. That's where the jumping's coming
Yeah,
from.
we'll go with that. I'll get the
Yep.
holy water. I'll dunk my webcam in holy water. It'll be all right.
See, that's something that, like, we're talking about the old school type of haunting, the old school type of attachment with
Mhm.
this. We touched on the UFOs and the big boom with cryptids. There's been kind of a shift in what people believe when that they're experiencing when we're talking about hauntings now. There's a deeper understanding that the world is not as it seems, and what we're looking at and what we interact with is not the totality of our
Yeah,
reality. Did not mean to make
that
that
was good
rhyme,
though.
but
Um,
yeah.
One thing that comes to mind as soon as you brought that up, the Mandela effect. Like, they're
Yep.
saying the Mayan calendar was correct. The world wasn't supposed to end in 2012. We just shifted into another reality. And to be honest, like, if I actually sat back and thought about it for a little bit, it's like, well, maybe because it does feel different. It does feel really different than what it was, 10, 12 years ago. It's not the same. So did we?
Mhm.
Was the Mayans were the Mayans correct? It's just I don't know. It something feels off. I guess is the best way I could really describe it.
I don't know if it's something that is, kinda in the ether. I don't wanna say woo woo, but something that is more metaphysical, or if it's just that we're going through so much so fast because our understanding has changed. Science has had so many
Mm,
advances in how we understand how, our place in the universe, and shedding light in areas that we didn't know was there, and showing us that we don't understand things that we thought that were
yeah.
concrete. The way time works, the way gravity and reality works, it could be a little different than what we've thought. Um, our sense of
Yeah.
time, the possibility of having computers that use potential energy from surrounding universes to do their calculations, and having math that we can't see it, but we have math that supports there are probably multiple
Yeah.
dimensions, multiple Earths that are interacting with each other, not separate from each other, but that are kind of phasing and interacting with
Mhm.
each other. It kinda brings into question what are we seeing when we see ghosts? What are hauntings? We understand how we affect particles, with wave particle duality. We just by observing them. We understand how things change just by us being present at a location. So, at some of these hauntings, is it a ghost? Is it a spirit of the dead? Or is it my subconscious causing something to move? Is it my subconscious or myself, my emotions, manifesting in a way around the property? Could it be some sort of bleed from a timeline or from another universe, or some sort of interdimensional being that's might intentionally be trying to interact with this reality, or might just be passing by? Could we be their ghosts? There's a lot of questions that have come up, and some of them are older questions, some of them are newer questions, because what we're seeing with our understanding of our reality, with the government and with scientists saying, "Hey, yes, it is likely that there is life on other planets, and there's a possibility that it's here because we do have these unidentified aerial phenomenon happening,
Yeah.
submersible, underwater vehicles and phenomena that are happening that we know are here." And we don't know if it's us or not. We don't know if it's an enemy state or not. We don't know if it's extraterrestrial. There's so many questions right now that people are like, okay, it's not black and white. It's not spirits of the dead or demons. Maybe it's
Yeah.
aliens.
Well, I mean, it even goes back to, the ice wall, the or the inner earth, all those types of things. Um, to me, the most believable is isn't just like the alternate reality. It's more of an existence. There's a different level of existence. So when we pass, we move to a next level of existence of energy existing, basically, and we're getting bleed over from that. That's what we're seeing. When the veil is thin enough, we see more of it. Um, and then you move on to the next level. You get basically into a whole nother life. Um, and by the way, Brian, I have I'll get your address and I'll send you one. Don't worry. Um, but I mean, there's just so many theories of about what actually happens that to me, everybody's right. There is no wrong answer. Everybody's right as of right now.
See, that's the thing. We're not technically looking
Mm,
for answers. Um, as an investigator, the very first thing I have to do when I say I have to do, when I used to be a legal
mhm.
investigator, when I walked into a situation, the first thing I had to do was find out what question to ask, because I'm walking into this complete unknown. It's just absolute chaos. So I have to find the question first, then find the answer. There are so many possibilities, and it's pretty, it's right there in front of us, and it's pretty obvious that we don't know what we're looking at. So I feel like the first thing we need to do is find the question.
Yeah, return to sender. Well, here's an actual here's a question for you then. Instead of us saying that we're looking for answers, should we just start saying we're looking for reasons?
Yeah, no, I feel like that's um, a better way of looking at it. We're looking for causes,
instead of the effects.
to find the because we're seeing what's happening. There's an apparition there. Like that's you and I are standing in a room. We have an apparition, whether or not we got it on camera. We have personal evidence. We have personal experience that we can say that
Hmm.
happened. How did it happen? Why did it happen? Okay, so the how and why. So how did it happen? Let's look around. Are there any windows or anything? Is there any way that light could be cast? It could have been a reflection or a shadow that just happened to look like a
Yeah.
person. And then our brain, because now we know about
Hmm.
pareidolia and how it works, filled in the dots, and we both got kind of a similar looking thing. And maybe we fed off of each other's descriptions because we didn't write it
Power of
down, and
suggestion.
we just started telling. Huh? Or um, did something happen? Is there a heavy limestone
Yep.
deposit under the foundation? Is it a residual haunting? It's stone tape. Um, does it interact with us and answer questions? Did it see me? Did it look at me and or
Mhm.
look at you and react to us? There's a thousand questions that we have to ask to even get to what what the hell is it?
Now, see, for me, it's kind of difficult because I know there's probably some people listening or watching this who are waiting for us to give the answer. But here's the thing for me: if there was something big and complex, because we know most of the answers that we're looking for are like right here. If it's really that big and complex, I know I'm not the only one that have asked these questions to the spirits that we run into, and we've gotten EVPs from. Is there a reason why we're not being told this? Like when we ask a spirit, what happens? What happens when you pass away? What happens when you leave this body? The best response so far I've gotten was it's cold. And that's from Thomas Whaley himself, actually. I asked, what's it like to die? He said it was cold. I've asked before, what happens after death? What is the next thing? What when you are no longer living, what is the next level? I've yet to get a response. So is there maybe something that either A, they're not allowed to tell us? I mean, they'll tell us everything else. They'll tell us names, dates, favorite foods, but not that. And I know I can't be the only investigator that has asked this before. Actually, I know I haven't because we've heard it on the Global Ghost Hunt. So maybe we're just not supposed to know. Maybe it's one of those answers we just can't know.
Well, there's that, but there's also this is kind of where I'm leaning now. What if these aren't spirits? Like
Yeah.
this isn't not the dead. It's not necessarily a demon. It's not that we're stepping away from religion. We're stepping away from theology, and we're just looking at these things as what we would term as a non corporeal entity.
Hmm.
It has awareness. It has no physical mass. Even though technically there is physical mass there.
It's like aerogel.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, oh man, I
For,
might do an episode on that.
by the way, folks, if you don't know what aerogel is, it is an actual solid, but it is 99.9% air. Look it up. It is creepy looking, but it looks like so much fun.
It is, yeah,
um,
it is really cool. It's super
but-
expensive. You'll probably never get to touch it in your life, but it is amazing.
oh, and watch when Adam Savage for the first time touches it. It is the funniest. It's like a kid in the candy store. He's sitting, literally poking this thing. Now, I agree with you that maybe some of this isn't. Maybe some of this isn't spirits from like loved ones and stuff. My only rebuttal to that, and which by the way, just a little disclaimer, folks, Tanner and I go back and forth. This is all out of love and respect. It's constructive, so we're not going to fight. My only question to that is then how do we explain these spirits that of loved ones that are knowing different events and different names and nicknames and different events from family members from our clientele if they are not the actual person or entity? That's my
So
question.
with that, we don't know how they interact with people's minds. So
Very true.
there's a theory that when you actually see an apparition, it's not physically there in front of you. What it does is it interacts and somehow intercepts the impulses going from your eye, and it imprints that as your brain is actually making the picture of the environment, and it's
Hmm.
placing itself there, actually interacting with you internally to do that because it's not physically here on this plane actually anywhere on this world. It's just interacting with you in here.
Hmm.
So if it can do that, I mean, who's to say that it couldn't, pick up a few things while it's in there?
Well, good luck
Um,
with my
but
brain, but no, that's
yeah,
fair.
but we don't know. That's the thing, though. It's like we can't argue about. I mean, we can. People do. I think it's
Oh yeah.
dumb because we don't know. We don't know.
Well, it's like I said before. I can sit here and say that every ghost is purple. Prove me wrong.
Mhm.
You can't, but you can't prove me right either. It's a catch 22. Which again is why I love this field. But at the same time, though, that is why I'd say 90, if not more percent of this field is theory. That's what it is. It's all theory. There's no exact science to it. There's scientific equipment, and that has an exact science. But
As
what
far
we
as how
do,
it works,
yeah,
we
exactly.
still don't know how it's being interacted with. But
But I mean, yeah, it's just like I said, and we said before, there is no right or wrong with this one. But I have a gut feeling when we do find this answer, we're all going to go, "Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense."
I know it's going to be something weird. You're saying what if they open and close doors? So we have no idea. The closest thing that we've seen to an explanation on the opening and shutting of doors things, this guy made a machine called the poltergeist machine. It
Mhm.
used heavily focused magnetic energy to affect the environment and move things that weren't metal or traditionally magnetic. We think it's something like that, where there's a very strong focused field of energy that moves a door or picks something up and levitates it, we
The
think.
the best way to kind of get an idea of that, mama, is if you remember Patrick Swayze, Ghost, when he's down in the subway with that guy. Yeah, that whole scene. That's kind of the theory behind it, which I think, to be honest, is probably the most credible. You just
Yeah.
build up of energy and just or
There's
emotion.
not many things that ghost hunters and paranormal people don't bicker about, but that's one of them.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's the most accepted. It
Nobody's
just
gonna throw
makes
a pot at you if you bring that one up at
well,
convention.
actually, anymore they might just because
Yeah, man,
you
everybody's so
agree
mean.
with me. No, shut up. How dare you agree with me?
Well, see, that's the thing though, like, we're in this situation where everybody could be right because we don't know what's going on, so it could
Yeah.
be something different from one location to the other. I've done this for 20 years. There are things that have held true at certain locations that do not at other locations. The activity is totally different. How it's dealt with is totally
Mhm.
different. There's some things that seem to work across a wide range of hauntings and paranormal activity as far as just, the whole thing that I push about positive energy, taking care of yourself, go to the gym, make sure you're in a good headspace so that when you interact with something, we know that our presence changes, how particles interact when we're not observing certain particles, they react as waves, energy waves. They're in an energy state. When we look at them, they're more solid mass particle.
Yeah.
If we go in to a situation that is pretty much pure energy from what we think, um, and we bring a bunch of negative crap in there, we tend to get negative back. That's held out across not all, but a lot of cases. And it's, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's like 1,000 different things that's going on out there?
Yeah, there it probably we have more theories than or we have more of that than we have theories in the
Yeah.
paranormal field. And it's not even to me, it's not even just the different locations too. It's the same location. You can go to the same location and I don't know, just something's off that night. There could be more energy from the lunar cycle. There could be rain, the barometric pressure. I know that's a theory out there. When
Mhm.
the barometric pressure is high, you get more activity. Humidity level, like it's different. It may be the same location, but it's a different experience each night. I've had that, you see that a lot in a lot of the training sites, like cemeteries, for example. I know Brian loves cemeteries, but you go to a cemetery one night, it could be nothing, and then you go the next night, it could be all positive energy. You go the next night, and then you just feel like somebody's watching you. Something feels off. You go back again, and here we go. Nothing happens. It just depends. I deal with it since I was 3. 'Cause you're special, mama. That's why. I can't wait to see mama and the Newsoms. We're gonna be in West Virginia in October. I can't wait to see him.
Oh, nice.
Mhm. I can't wait to see them.
That's awesome. There's, and you're talking about these different places or the same place that can have different
Mhm.
activity. I found that if I bring different people into certain situations, I get totally different, EVPs. I'll get totally different, vibes
Mhm.
and activity. There was one person that we went to this one location and it was active. I mean, we got great EVPs. There was some stuff that was a little threatening, but there was this one girl that I brought out, and everything just went nuts. It was one of the most violent encounters that I've ever had in a haunting. It actually grabbed her, held her to the ground, and I was, I mean, I'm an Olympic weightlifter, and I'm a pretty strong guy, and I could not pry her off the ground. It was like something had
Mm.
her held there, and then it knocked me off. And then it just stopped, and we, made the decision to leave
N
quickly.
Yeah, well, and see, that's
Yeah.
to me, especially with a client case, well, really any location, before you investigate, I always do a walkthrough first during the day, and,
Mhm,
like, I got made fun of a lot by the paranormal community for having a bigger sized team than what most do,
mhm.
but I did it for a reason, and that was one of them. Like, I could go in, and if there's, like, a bunch of female spirits or something happening, I'm not gonna take, big, burly, you know, Mr. Billy Badass, so to speak, into that location. I choose my investigators very carefully for the investigations, but you have to adapt. It's just like Penhurst. Penhurst, when I went with the Wicker Queen, we went in thinking Penhurst. It's a big, scary, place. We're gonna get attacked. We're gonna leave with scratches and bites, and I was ready for a fight. I was gonna have some fun with this. But then once you get there and you hear the stories and you kind of take a step back and rethink about it, it's like, okay, well, maybe the scratching and the biting isn't an attack. It's a way of communicating. Well, some of these patients may be nonverbal, so that's what they do. And then you take a step and think of it like that. I looked at the Wicked Queen flat out and I said, we need to rethink our approach. Like, it wasn't so much like put up the protection barriers and, crack your knuckles and say, let's go. It was more, come over, let's have a chat. Like, let's have a softer approach to it. And, you know, every location can be like that.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make too. You'll go into a location and you'll treat a ghost like a
Mhm.
ghost, or you'll treat whatever you're expecting to find like what you'll treat whatever's there like what you're
Mhm.
expecting to find. That's what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say. So if you go in expecting a ghost, you're gonna do EVPs. You might do the same questions over and over again, and you'll talk like you're talking to like a spirit, some great manifestation instead of just talking to a person, which works great sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, but you try all of these different things. Treat them like a person. Think about Pinhurst, they're nonverbal, so try some different
Yep.
communication tactics. Um,
Which, if anybody does get the opportunity to go to Penhurst, I'm gonna tell you right now, take a pendulum. The Wicked Queen had a blast with that pendulum. They loved it.
and so we're talking about experiences and going to these locations. People have more opportunity now to go to haunted locations than I think they ever have. When I started doing this, it wasn't a thing. You didn't have ghost
Yeah.
tours everywhere. You didn't have ghost hunters everywhere. We didn't even really have paranormal TV. I think Scariest Places on Earth
Yeah.
was on, and that was pretty much it other than
Oh,
Unsolved
I love that
Mysteries.
show.
I love that. I still watch it. It's on Tubi. The entire show is on Tubi.
Uh, I love Unsolved Mysteries. And what was the other one? Rescue 911. Not the newer one, the
Yep.
older one. I think it was the same guy too who hosted it. But
Mhm.
oh,
Oh, it
I
was a good
miss
one.
those shows. But yeah, you're right. It's become lucrative. That's the thing.
Mhm,
I mean, some people like it, some people don't. But we'll be honest with you, it's a moneymaker. You get a haunted location,
mhm.
there is a market for it. If you don't believe me, hi.
Well, I mean, the Warrens have had their museum and stuff forever, and they closed it down. I think there were some zoning
Yep.
issues or something, but it got bought by, oh, what's his name? Matt
Hmm.
Rife, and, he has a friend who's actually in the paranormal and is a ghost hunter, Elton
Hmm.
Casti.
And his
I think
yep,
I'm saying
and
that right?
his wife too. I want to say Janet.
Mhm.
I think it begins with a J.
Well, what's interesting, he didn't actually buy it. He bought a 5-year lease to, like, show the stuff.
Mhm.
So I think that's interesting. I'm curious to see what he does with that because there's some stuff in there that I absolutely wanna see. Um,
I'm kinda mixed, like, if he's gonna be
yeah.
responsible about it, and what I mean by responsible, not just Annabelle, like, the entirety of the property. If he's gonna be responsible, great, absolutely great. If he's after comedic value, it is gonna be funny watching him get freaked out from different things that are in there, but it's not really respectful.
I don't know, from what I've heard from interviews and from some things that have been on some other shows, he has an interest in it, like, he's had an interest in the
Mm,
paranormal, and he's done ghost I mean, this his friend is a pretty well-known, ghost hunter and paranormal investigator, but I don't know, I think he's gonna do a good job, he's
he is,
entertaining, so it will be entertaining.
in one way or another, it definitely will be, but,
I don't like all of anybody's
well,
material, but, I mean, some of his stuff's pretty good.
I will say this, like, whenever I first saw that he bought it or he leased it,
Mhm.
I thought it was one of those AI stories. I
Yeah.
didn't believe it because 'cause I've seen his stand-up, I've seen what he does, and he doesn't really talk about the paranormal in any of his stand-up. Like, he doesn't even hint at it. And to hear that, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of way out of left field, but okay." But give him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't nothing's happened yet, so
I mean, I don't talk about it at my day job
well,
either.
this is true, but when you're doing a stand-up, like, I know a lot of times they like to relate to real life things, and
Mhm.
let's be honest, and I think any paranormal investigator will tell you, there's a lot of material that a stand-up comedian could use when we investigate. There's a lot of things that could happen and has happened, but
That's what we need. We need like a Halloween shit. That's the only time that this would actually fly with a network is like
mm,
Halloween, Comedy Central, ghost hunting stand
well,
up.
and it happened right with the whole Annabelle stuff with her little tour,
Mhm.
and, I don't know if that was the other thing too, is like, was it a marketing ploy? Is it something going on? But whatever the case is, I wish them the best. Wish them all the best. I hope whatever they're trying to do works out. Um, because me personally, the occult museum is a place just like the rest of them that needs to be protected. It's a piece of our history. It's our heritage. Like them or whether you like them or you hate the Warrens, it's a piece of history. It's our history.
Mhm. And I mean, the paranormal is going to keep going
Yeah.
strong. It kind of ebbs and flows. So like in the late 1800s or second half of the 1800s, it got huge. That we had the biggest spiritualist
Mhm.
movements. That's where ghost hunting came from. That's where, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in the early 1900s, he came in with the Society for Psychical Research, and they're still around, and they have one of the biggest archives in the world if you ever want to check it out and see some of the cases that they've ran. But it died down, and then it came back around in like the 20s and 30s, and then it died down for a while. I think the next big boom was like the 70s. Died down, started picking up a little bit in the 90s. You said books, you started having a couple of TV shows, it died down a little bit more, and then it had, like, this 20-year run where everybody was into ghosts, they were into mediums, they were into the paranormal from, like, 2023, 24. I'm sorry, from, 2003, 2004 on to about 2
Yep.
years ago.
Well, and to me, it was, and which I hate saying it, but I can't even say it. Ghost Adventures, Taps,
Yeah.
Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, all these different paranormal shows. Those three were like the main ones, especially for me. That's what really fueled it. And um, once our field became mainstream, th- I mean, anybody could really do this. Anybody can, if you know the right people, you could have your own show too. It's just who you know, but that's the business. But there's always going to be a market for it. Now it's just a matter of I think the reason why it's gone down is we're needing to revamp what we do and how we're doing it. Hence why we're seeing like Jason doing his podcast. We're going to start seeing new ways of paranormal entertainment.
Well, that's happening in music, it's happening in, literature. the larger studios, the big 5 in publishing, are losing out to independent authors because we're able to put more out, so we don't have as tight of restraints around the budgets. I know that sounds crazy because they can throw these huge budgets to these projects, but out of every 100 books that a big 5 publisher publishes, maybe 10 or 20 actually do
Mhm.
well enough to support the rest of them. The same thing with television shows when they're making, you know, Ghost Adventures and they have this huge hit, and then they make some I'm not gonna name a show, I'm not gonna shame anybody. Ghost Hunters Advice was made to bring people up, not tear them down. But you'll have some other show come out for, like, 1 season and that nobody
Yeah.
watched, but it costs almost as much to make that show as it did to make the other, and you're doing, like, 20 or 30 of those at a time trying to get something to stick, and you keep having to ramp it up because something has to be different. So then you end up with all these portals to hell, and, like, there's a demon in
Yeah.
everybody's basement,
Jeez.
and that baby's the Antichrist. You get all this super crazy stuff, and people just get burnt
Yeah.
out on it and kinda step away from it, and that's where the creators start taking their stuff back. Same thing happened in literature. It wasn't extreme, it was just every single story coming out from a publishing house was basically the same book over and over and over again with, a slightly different voice from different writers, and, people get a little sick of
See,
it.
I don't know if it was the Wiki Queen I was talking to about this or somebody else, but I was saying that you watch within the next couple weeks, and it's gonna be that soon, you're gonna see a rise in more paranormal entertainment. There's gonna be a new show coming out. There's gonna be a new, uh, craze. There's gonna be something new that happened, a new piece of evidence, whether it's the cryptozoology or whatever. Um, there's gonna be something that's gonna happen right around Halloween. I 100%
Yeah.
guarantee it. It's and then 1 or 2 things is gonna happen. It's either gonna be just like the, "Hey, we really aren't alone," little, news report, and everyone goes, "Cool," or it's gonna take off, and it's gonna be a hit thing, and we're gonna
Mhm.
be hearing about this until this time next year. You know, 1 or 2 those 1 or 2 things will definitely happen, though, but I'm telling you, there's gonna be something. Something will happen within these next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Now what? We'll
Um,
find out.
yeah, and there are some things happening on the main podcast feed, so I do have at least 2 more episodes coming out here in the next, month or so. We'll be going over exactly what is frequency when people are talking about hauntings and talking about spirits. It sounds kinda woo-woo. It's not. There is a scientific basis for it. So we're gonna be talking about frequency as it pertains to spirits and the paranormal. We're also gonna be talking about stigmatized properties. This is one that I've wanted to cover on the podcast for a while. I just keep forgetting to do it. And we're going to talk about real estate and the laws around disclosure for hauntings and stigmatized properties, what makes a stigmatized property, and what that means if you're a property owner and you don't want to be in a haunted house. We'll talk about some of the best ways to offload that. I've done some stuff in real estate. My parents were real estate investors. I'm licensed as a real estate agent, and we'll get into some of that. We'll mix that with paranormal so you guys can help your clients if you're out there and you have I've had people who wanted to sell after we've finished an
Mhm.
investigation, and it does help to be able to advise them on who to go to so that they, don't lose um, a big chunk of their largest asset, which is
Yeah.
their home, and you're able to set them up for success as they move out of it. But those are some things that we'll be talking about down the road. Check us out over at ghosthunteradvice.com. You can read the blog, ask questions. I answer those on the podcast. Most of these episodes, most of these shows come from the questions that you ask. Also, check us out at trulyoddteas.com. I do have a ghost hunting collection that's coming up soon. Probably, actually, we're looking at dropping it on
Very
Sunday.
nice.
And then we'll be adding some stuff to the Halloween
Nice.
collection too. So, Matt, where can they find you?
Basically everywhere. Just find me on any social media under Paranormal Consultant. Pretty easy to find. You can definitely find me on Parapost Network Central, which we're on, and of course Global Ghost Hunt. And check out all of those teams and
Awesome.
locations. You won't regret it.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Check out the main podcast feed. If you don't follow it, it's on Apple and Spotify. Go to ghosthunteradvice.com. You can click the follow button, and that'll take you to whatever your favorite app is, so that you can follow the show. All right. Till next time. I'll see you.